I did
I
have
wonder if
one
the
cold
thing's
open
gonna pick up.
topic. It's a bit
Okay.
dated
Okay.
at this point.
I got some that I want to derail before we get started though.
Okay, derail.
So we're just off the rails, I guess.
Okay.
We haven't gotten on yet.
Okay.
Would you like a drink?
Yeah.
You don't have to say yes.
Oh, I mean, yes.
Have you-
Asterisk.
Have you heard of a gonster?
A gonster?
Yeah.
No.
So
Oh.
that
Oh, okay. So we got. Yeah. Okay.
yeah. Okay.
I'll give it a shot.
We'll see if I can
One
pour
hand
this
this.
right. Yeah.
This is coming out on Christmas Day too.
Yeah. I'm gonna try.
I have never seen a monster outside of its can. I assume because like most drinks, like energy drinks, I feel like they're just like yellow or they're pale. You know.
I'm pretty sure this is the nitro, which is supposed to be the preferred monster for a gonster.
Oh well, yeah, because Guinness is also nitro.
Yeah, I think that's the idea.
Because
Yeah.
otherwise, you got carbonation, and you've got a
see.
nitro brew, which I feel
those are
like
pretty
is. Oh. I saw you grab the mugs and not say anything to me about them, so I was like,
All right, now here's the tricky part. I think hopefully their density should keep them apart anyways.
you're trying
but-
to get them so they're like separate.
Yeah.
Oh, it's. Oh shit! Have you had this before?
Nope.
Okay.
I heard about it the other day. Apparently, there's a community for it on Reddit.
That's the least surprising thing I've ever heard.
Okay. Not like roughly.
They're looking pretty.
Hey, I'm pretty happy with that. I think that turned out pretty
That's
good.
yeah. All right. Oh God. Cheers.
Cheers.
I'm mostly getting Guinness.
I think I got a hint of the monster there.
I can smell it. It smells. Ooh. It smells like a. Like an ecto cooler juice box to me a little bit. Like
That is weird. All I smell is the monster pretty much.
or it smells like a like a peeled orange to me a little bit I mean
That
it's
is-
obviously citrusy.
Yeah, this one is like the nitro. It's like mandarin orange flavored. I think.
Okay, that's where
Yeah.
that's coming from.
Yeah.
I don't hate it, but it's also I haven't gotten to like the monster yet. There you go.
I got some of it.
You
Yeah,
strike gold.
I think so. Yeah, it's interesting. Which is
It's not.
I love the look of it.
Yeah, it's really not that bad.
Yeah.
I was expecting it to be like incompatible flavors, but it's really not.
Well, we can join the community.
I will never join a Reddit community.
'Tis the season to be. Could be
Swampy.
another Gooners, Goners, Gonsters.
I'm trying
Golly.
to trying to think of like Auld Lang saying or whatever to add like the Gooner lyrics to that.
Yeah, that is.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay. So what were we talking about?
yeah. This was kind of it was making the rounds online a couple weeks ago now, I want to say. But did you there's there's a gonster. Did you see the I Love Lucy 4K restoration?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
With the AI generated faces?
Yeah.
It's probably one of the weirdest, most horrific things I've ever seen, and I don't understand like why it was necessary.
I feel like this is this is a good like end of year.
What have we learned in 2024?
Like, yeah,
AI still sucks ass.
Step back into the convo. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much my takeaway. Most of the times that we kind of dive into the subject is like why,
Yeah.
and not yet usually is part of it. It's like just wait. It's weird that like, you know, maybe this kind of plays into the main discussion today of like, how do the people making these things like not see that it's doesn't look good?
How many people okayed this?
Yeah.
And then it got printed to like however many number of discs of I Love Lucy like went out. And maybe it's like an isolated incident, like maybe that's the only time it happened in the show for whatever reason, but I feel like even then it's like the box sets for this shit is so expensive.
Is it? I haven't
Like,
looked into any of that stuff. I just
so
saw the
speaking
images.
speaking of Reddit, I do like kind of look around on like boutique Blu-ray subreddits and like kind of like movie collectors subreddits, because that's kind of like a thing that I've been more into, like collecting, you know, physical media movies lately. And I do think that we're gonna hit like a boutique movie bubble, where I feel like people are eventually going to be tired of like, oh shit, another restoration of a thing that you bought like 2 years ago
yeah, for sure.
that was supposed to be like the final restoration, but now it's 4K and it's got this and that. And I think people are gonna, and it's like all of these sets are like, well, we only printed 500 of them, and they come with a book you're never going to read, and it comes with like prints that you're never going to do anything with. And I feel like there's going to be a bubble soon where people are going to be like, I just want a normal movie. I don't need all this shit anymore.
Yeah, that's me. That's like
like Criterion's cool.
yeah.
But like stuff beyond that gets a little crazy.
Yeah, or like I don't know, like I still have my Criterion DVDs from years ago. Like you know, my Seven Samurai one is like a DVD, and I got that, you know, a long time ago. And I know they have like they updated it to Blu-ray. I don't think they did a 4K yet, but
there's a 4K
there
of
is,
it
okay.
coming out. Yeah.
But I'm just like, I don't know. I'm good, I guess. I don't need to, especially with how fucking expensive it is too. Even with the half off, it's still pretty pricey. I think where I stand on like physical media stuff is like, it's I'm more like going back to this was like last year, I think, the like the French Connection thing. Remember how it's like they're like, I mostly am like because I have had my collection for a while. I never have like thinned it out. Maybe I've gotten rid of some that I like just don't care about here and there, but for the most part it's only grown. And but I would say that I've kind of gotten more into it again recently in the last couple of years, and it's more from a standpoint of like preservation rather than like I have to have the best version of everything. I'm just like, as long as I have my copy of Seven Samurai, you know,
you're good.
Then I'm good. Or like the last Criterion sale, I got a few movies, and I really wanted to get WALL-E. That's one of my favorite animated movies ever. I think it's really cool that they have it on Criterion.
Yeah, that was like kind of a big deal, like a Disney,
like a Disney
Pixar. Yeah,
but it's a good movie. So
right.
But the only one I saw, and I hope, because I know it's a recent one, I hope it's not the only option, was a 4K one, to where it was like I think $30 even with the 50% off.
And I do think those 4Ks come with Blu-ray discs.
I know
but
that,
it's still, it's like I don't need this.
I would rather just have, like, when I buy my Criterions now, I buy the Blu-rays because those are usually what are there. But it's like, I will buy that now. I just don't see a need to replace my older ones.
Right.
And I definitely am not going to see a need to replace my Blu-rays with 4Ks.
Dude, that.
I like Criterion because I love like the special features.
Right.
And I like that they, well, or just DVDs in general or physical media in general. It's like, you know, you actually own the thing. You don't own a license. You know, it's not going to be changed. It's going to be the same thing every time you put it in your player. Yeah, I don't know. I was trying to blank there, but yeah.
Yeah. What was I going to say? But yeah, the I Love Lucy thing is still just, because like I know that there have been people like the recently there was like a release of Inland Empire, the David Lynch movie on Criterion. And like I've seen some discourse about like the color grading of that movie.
Yeah,
or, like,
I think I heard about
upscaling
that.
it.
Yeah,
Because it's a movie that I'm pretty sure
he like intentionally shot it on like a lower quality.
he shot it
it's
on like a
hand cam or
Yeah.
like a home movie camera.
and so like
Yeah,
that's kind
right.
of the look of the movie.
Right.
And it's like upscaling that is kind of antithetical
Right.
to like the vision of the director, which
Mhm.
it sounds like David Lynch was like, because usually with the Criterion movies they like it'll say like director approved restoration or whatever, so it's like they usually try to involve the powers that be that made the movie. But yeah, I there were people that were like posting screenshots of like what it used to look like versus like the color grading now and blah 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 blah. And it's like I don't know, that's a level of like film discourse that I can't really. I'm like, I guess so. That one does look more. That one. You were right.
I might need to separate the. Well, she is being like that, but
They're feisty.
Tiger one, he's been really an asshole the last couple days. So look at his fucking tail.
Oh, that is floofy.
Look at that tail.
Is he like too fat to fit under the couch though?
No, he can get on. I don't know what he's probably just playing.
And the other one's like, I am not playing. Please stop.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't imagine paying like $150 for I Love Lucy, and then you get to that scene, and it's just like a dude's face, just like super. It looks like something from Twin Peaks: The Return, where like David Lynch like intentionally made it kind of look weird. That's what it looks like that scene with Sarah Palmer when her face like tilts open. That's what those two people look like.
Yeah. Yeah, his like he does have a particular like look to like uncanny look to his special effects, I guess.
Yeah, like that like the scene where like I think it's like when Cooper leaves the Black Lodge or the Red Lodge, and it's like it turns into like smoke and then the little golden ball.
Yeah.
And it has this weird almost like amateurish look to it.
Yeah.
But it's
like it was made in 3D choreographer.
Yeah. yeah. Speaking of people with faces that look like
Speaking of 3D choreographer, I mean yeah, I was kind of getting at it with that too, yeah.
You don't have a copy of this one we can display here?
Welcome. I wonder if anybody has a copy of this movie.
Does it exist?
Maybe. That'd be an interesting little like treasure hunt.
I'm waiting for the Vinegar Syndrome.
Yeah.
Like 4K.
Yeah. Okay. Welcome back, ladies and gents, to another episode of ThereWillBeDuds. This is episode 168.
Yes.
8. Yes.
Because next one is 169.
Yes. That's how I remembered it. Yeah. I'm your co-host, TJ, and with me
As always, I'm Nick.
And
it's Christmas.
It's Christmas.
It is.
'Tis the season. It is actually Christmas Day, so we decided to, well, when this comes out, obviously. So we decided to go with what more than, I think, probably the most famous Christmas classic ever made.
Yeah.
I think.
It's right up there with Muppet Christmas Carol.
Yeah. It's a Wonderful Life,
I would like to see A Wonderful Life done in this style.
And that classic Christmas tradition is Rapsittie Street Kids Believe in Santa, directed by Colin Slater from 2002.
I believe so.
It primarily focuses on a kid named Ricky. It's around Christmas time. He gifts a precious toy to her, and then she rejects it, and then they go about like finding the toy later on. But also
great.
it's kind of like there's like an ensemble thing, so there's also like other kids, because like that kind of resolves and there's still like a quarter of the runtime left, so then they switch to Jodie Benson's character for a little bit, and then she's like, I do believe in Santa. Because I guess maybe they realize. I wonder if that's like they realized they needed to have that, because other than it being around Christmas time, Ricky being the main character, there's nothing like oh, believe in Santa. I don't. It's just like, oh, I gave her this thing and she didn't want it, and then she has a change of heart, and then they go and find it again, and then it's like that wraps up, and then it really feels like they're like, oh shit, we should have something like
there should be a message,
Christmas,
or like
Christmas magic and Santa in this. So then they throw in the
Santa
other
didn't do
character.
shit.
He didn't. Yeah, it did the bullshit thing where like the only Santa you see is like
The shadow,
or like in the clouds or whatever.
Well, you know
real
why Santa
cop-out
didn't do
bullshit.
shit? It's because he doesn't shop at the mall.
Oh yeah, right, yeah.
Let me grab my notes. I think I.
Okay, I think I saw a notebook
Yeah, it's
up
up
there.
here. Okay. This bitch in the mall, dude. So I found out about this because I feel partially responsible because I think I suggested this for our Christmas stud. And this is one of those movies that like I heard about through like YouTube commentary channels. Like this is I checked in on it, and I don't think Drew Gooden ever did one on this movie in particular, but he was like one of those like I found this crazy unhinged Hallmark movie, Christmas movie, and like did like a video thing about it, about like this is crazy. And I think it might have been Moist Criticals that like keyed me on to this movie. And I was like, we should do that one because it looks unhinged and crazy. And I think the clip that like solidified me wanting to do this was the grandma. Who was not featured in this as much as I thought she was going to be.
No, not really. It's you basically like if you've seen like clips of the grandma from this, you've probably seen her entire
yeah, basically
her entire time. Which let's knock the grandma out right out of the gate. I guess since she isn't really in it as much as I thought, but she is kind of she's the only thing that I had seen prior to this either. Where her thing, if you haven't seen it, I mean I'll be playing clips somewhere. But she doesn't really she goes Christmas like that.
Oh, see, what is now?
I saw on like the IMDb and the Wikipedia, I think both said that they think that like the audio files were corrupted or something like that, and then like they just went with it. But
I don't think that's the case.
I don't think so either. It feels intentional to me
because there are lines where like she'll say something weird, like she's kind of like Boomhauer from like King of the Hill.
Yes.
Or I think in one of the Moist Critical videos, he said that she's speaking like a Banjo-Kazooie character, which I thought was pretty good. Because she's just like, and then she'll like you'll get one word like
kids these days.
like with Boomhauer, you can like differentiate some words. Like, you can kind of get a gist of what he's saying.
Yeah.
And then the joke is Hank or Dale or like the King of the Hill guys will be like, now Boomhauer, we can't do that. Like they understood him completely.
Yeah.
And there are lines in this where Ricky will be like, "Oh, Grandma, you always know exactly what to say," and then she'll,
Well, that was actually why when I was like, okay, yeah, this probably was intentional. It's because he says that when she says like one thing completely coherently. It's at the very end, and she's like, "Oh, you know, don't believe in Santa because he's in your heart," or something like that. And then he says, "Oh, Grandma, you always know exactly what to say." And then she goes back to and so I was like, okay, I think that was the joke. It's like, oh, you always know what to say. And then she goes back to like the gibberish speaking. It made me think of like any like Kevin Smith movie with Silent Bob, because that's like the thing is where he's Silent Bob, he doesn't talk, but then always like at the end of the movie, Silent Bob has like one line, and it's something really like profound and like thoughtful.
Okay.
And then he goes immediately back to being silent. So that's kind of where my brain went. But yeah, but Boomhauer's a good like analog
to that.
Yeah.
Because like I'm trying to think then, because if it's not just a technical mistake and it's like they intentionally did it that way, why? Because I'm like, is it one of those things where it's like, you know, because like, oh, everyone's got like a black grandma that kind of like talks like that. That's what I'm trying to think of. Like,
I don't know.
Is that like a cultural thing? I'm
I
putting
don't know.
myself out there on the line with this one.
I don't know. I'm gonna put myself out there and say the fact that like they have the one black character rap like everything he says. I don't know if this is the most culturally sensitive
No,
movie.
maybe it's not.
I've been told this time of year is forgiving. Give to please others, Santa, this is how I'm living. But if you kindly find the time, deliver gifts 7, 8, and 9 from my list. I'm not selfish, I'm just driven.
Maybe that was from like the white person standpoint. It's like they're like, you know how you can never like understand old black people?
All the producers are like, huh? He's like, yeah. No, I knew this kid growing up. And then like that's just his entire worldview of like what black grandmas sound like.
The video that I was watching when you came over, they had a kind of funny point that I also don't think was intentional, but it was double toasted. So I guess for context, these guys are black who are talking about the movie. And they were like, they said that it was code switching. Because like when she talks to the white people at the end, it's like you talk proper and you enunciate. And then as soon as she turns back to talk to her grandson, she just
it's interesting. I mean, this sounds it's like a joke, but also like that's a better explanation than probably what the director could come up with.
Right. Yeah.
Because I'm like, what stereotype, what like cultural thing are you keying on to like make this choice, if you are at all? Maybe that's my fatal flaw, is that I'm trying to like try to find meaning behind any of the decisions that were made.
Yeah.
My first note was striving for excellence, and excellence was misspelled.
I saw that on the too. Yeah.
I'm like,
there's something else I noticed was wrong too.
Were there more misspellings?
Shoot. Yeah, or it was just like the wrong usage of a word or something.
Like your or their or something like that.
I can't remember what it was, but yeah, I did see that one. Shit. Yeah, I can't remember what it was.
I did see another YouTube comment that who knows if it's real. I don't know if we can verify it, but there was a comment that said that like one of the either animators or people who worked on this movie was like had a strained relationship with his father.
They talked about that at the beginning of that.
Did they?
Yeah.
Like,
I think he was a producer. That's what they said, at least.
He like brought his entire family to the premiere of this to like prove to his dad that he's like not a waste of a loser or what.
Yeah.
And part of my first reaction was like, that's really sad, but also it's so funny that this is the movie that he's like, see, Dad, I am somebody. And I mean, on paper, I feel like you could almost get away with that. Like, dude, Mark Hamill's part of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Ariel
and Belle. Yeah. Nancy Cartwright. Who, like, that voice stuck out like a sore thumb. I could only think of, is it Milhouse or is it the bully? I think the bully. I think, yeah, I know.
Where's
I know
Trevor?
what you're talking
You would know
about.
this.
Yeah, yeah.
But like, she has such a distinctive voice. Because I was like, which one was Mark Hamill? I couldn't.
He was.
He the dad?
He was he was Nicole's dad at the very end.
Oh, okay, when
so he had a really small part.
Like, do you see Santa now?
No. He was the blonde girl's dad, the one who's like, oh, I have such a beautiful family, and they have such a wonderful dad.
You got me such a great suit this Christmas morning.
Yeah, and then like they're like, oh, come down, we got you Christmas presents, and then he's like, oh, my daughter's just like her mother. Loves to spend a lot of money. Like, what are you talking about? You got her the gifts, you son of a bitch.
Oh, our princess has my good looks and your spending habits.
There's like an undercurrent of meanness in like the adult characters in this.
Yeah.
Like the school teacher is like constantly like muttering under her breath about like
how she fucking hates her class.
She's like, I hope Santa brings me some peace and quiet this year. And like it has this like aggression in her tone. Like she hates these kids.
I said after recess because I need a recess.
So don't get too excited. I think I jumped the gun a little bit because my count didn't go that high. But early on, I started a T-pose tally, but I only got to 3. And I think they were all, or like mostly, there was like 2 in the scene near the beginning where they're like ice skating and like the one kid's like being dragged by the other kid. He's like holding onto his scarf or whatever.
Were they T-posing?
And there's a shot where he's like behind him and you can see it like arms out and like, so I could tell they were getting him in where they could. And then there's like a part where like some of the kids like fall down and it looked like a couple of them were doing it. And I was like, oh hell yeah. But then I don't think I saw any more after that. Yeah.
It's the kind of movie where you want to see that shit because like that's.
I was hoping there would be like some missed frames where it's just like in the middle of a scene you'd see somebody like walking and then
yeah, I mean there was no shortage of like characters moving in like unnatural fashion.
Yeah.
There was a lot of that. Like anytime the characters had to like run away from anything, like the scene where they're at the dump and like they're running away from the dogs, and it almost looks like dream running. Where like, have you ever been like running away from something in like a dream?
Oh yeah,
and you're just like you can't like, move very fast, but you're like you want like the way that the characters move. That it's like it's very like slow, and it's just like obvious that like they're running against.
This the assets are just being like dragged down the screen really
kind
slowly,
of like that thing from Uzumaki.
Yeah, kind of. Oh my god, yeah, you're right.
Because like they're like, oh, time to go home. And it's just like someone has like they're just slowly shrinking the image to make it give the impression that he's moving into the house.
Yeah.
Ricky's like brutalist architecture house. It's just like hard concrete.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking like it's like everybody and everything moves like I don't know if you ever remember this, but it was something that one of our friends from school, Justin, I remember him saying this and it stuck with me so much that like it was something along the lines of like if he were to like how he would like curse somebody or something, or like if he like wanted power, if he had like a superpower to like give to like criminals or like bad guys or whatever, it would be to like remove friction from their bodies or whatever, so that they could like you wouldn't be able to connect or like touch like anything. You'd just be constantly sliding and moving. And that's like what it was like. Like there's a part where Ricky's like walking down the street and he's like, oh, it's so beautiful outside, and he like spins in place. And just the way that he turns his feet like are they're like still like walking forward. There's no like change. He just rotates.
Yeah, they're all just assets getting like moved around in like Microsoft like PowerPoint or something.
Yeah.
Which like I think I also read somewhere that the budget was like $500,000.
I saw that too, yeah.
Which I'm guessing is to pay the voice talent.
Yeah.
Cuz like there's no way.
Oh yeah, true. That is true. It does have actual voice talent, yeah. So probably.
Which is like another weird comparison that I was kind of making to after last season, where like after last,
so that's what I was just thinking of. Didn't that have a big budget too?
Yeah, it was like $1 million or something like that. And then you watch the final product and you're like, what did you spend the money on?
Yeah.
But after last season did not have like talent at all. There was no like big name actors or anything like that.
Does this have better animation than after last season?
That's kind of what I was trying to get to.
Okay.
Which I will say, in terms of like, I don't know if it's like vector based is the right word, but the way that the shapes moved around in after last season looked much more fluid than this.
They do have faces in this one.
True.
Characters have faces. They don't look good.
No, they don't. And I feel like they went out of their way to not show like the side profile of any of the characters.
Every time they did, it looked off.
Because it's
horrifying.
Just like it's like Monster Factory. If like it's like zero sliders.
It's because like I think the assets like they sat on the face model. So it's like if they had eyeballs, which I mean, yeah, all the characters had eyeballs. They like it wasn't like they were part of the face. It was like a separate 3D thing that was placed onto the head model.
And like the head model is
the
like
lips
flat, pretty much.
Yeah.
They're like the only way that you can look at this character is straight on.
Yeah.
But then you can't like at that point just make it animation. Because at the end,
like 2D or whatever. Yeah.
Just do that.
Yeah.
Because like at the end, like when the song's playing or whatever, you see like all the characters like drawn. They don't look great.
Yeah.
But they look better than like the 3D animated version. They all looked like. Do you remember the homies that you would get out of the quarter machine?
Yeah.
They all kind of looked like that.
The homies. Yeah. Yeah.
They looked like little quarter machine, like gumball kids or whatever.
Yeah. God. Oh yeah. About the faces too. This I think is also giving them like way too much benefit of the doubt. But I think there's something to it. But like with the facial features like resting on the head, like I was saying, I noticed it most when they smiled. That I think that it was trying to emulate like Rankin and Bass style animation, which is that Rankin and Bass is like
Wallace and Gromit, or
no, that's Aardman.
Okay,
it's I don't know, it's Christmas stuff. I'm like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and A Year Without a Santa Claus and that kind of stuff. And there's like the way that they smile is like I'm thinking of like the elf from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. It's like their mouth is like an upside down triangle almost like that. I was like, well, those are like claymation. So in those, like their eyes are on, they are like separate pieces or whatever.
And they blink in those movies.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they should have taken some more notes from those, like how to move things, I guess, and how to make things move properly. But again, I don't think that was fully why. But I was like, I think maybe there was some angle. We can give them a little bit of credit, and like there was probably some artistic vision, and like maybe they saw, maybe they were trying to make a classic in that style, and then because there's like we were trying to. He wanted this to be a revolution, an animation revolution.
Oh my God, they always do.
Yeah. True.
I'm just thinking of that scene. I think it's early in the beginning when Ricky is like looking at all of like the toys in the toy shop window, and there's again, I think they're trying to do that thing that you were talking about with like the old Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer animation style, but it kind of does like a push in on Ricky, and he does like a smile, and it is like the scariest shit I've ever like the corners of his lips just unnaturally go. Yeah, and it looks demonic.
Yeah. There's not like a lot of like facial movement or movement really, and then like man, I wish that's like one of the things that sticks out. It's like God, this is so stiff. Everything's so like bland and nothing. But then every time something does move, you're like, oh God.
Every time like a character laughs, their legs don't move, but their upper body goes.
Yeah. Like anytime like they actually animated like legs, not just like because a lot of times when they walked, it would just be like that stiff like
they're like
moonwalking
almost.
But then sometimes like I'm thinking of the part where they're running from the dogs. Maybe there's like a part where I think it's Nicole. Her and Ricky are the only ones whose names I remembered. Where she's running and like her arms are like all like animated like by joints, and same thing with the legs, and it looks awful. It looks really bad. I mean, obviously it looks bad, but I mean like it looks like almost disturbing.
Yeah. Oh, you forgot about
very creepy.
Smithy and his emotional support hoagie that he keeps.
That's that kid's name. Okay,
Smithy.
Yeah. He was who I put down for I wanted to pose the question, who's the worst character?
Oh.
And I guess I just mean like who was like who's I guess most annoying, or like who's the worst one to see like out of all of the crew.
I think Smithy might be, only because I feel like we get way too much time with him, and his jokes are bad for the most part.
Gee, do I have to come up with all the answers or what?
Smithy!
I love creeping out creepy girls.
If we're doing best character, I think the Nancy Cartwright character is the best character.
Okay.
I think in terms of like joke hit rate, she had the best ones, because I think she naturally like she plays like a bully on The Simpsons. Like she kind of has that experience. There was one line that I kind of chuckled at, which is after what's her name? Nicole? Is that the one he gives the bear to?
Yeah, that's like the main girl. Yeah.
Yeah. Moist Critical called it the poop bear. It's better if I just like quote him instead of just saying it for myself. Like someone else said this funny thing, but when she throws the poop bear into the dumpster, at one point in time, I forget the bully's name. I'm just gonna call him Nancy Cartwright. She like comes over and says something along the lines of like, "Oh hey Nicole, did you get banned from the mall so you're shopping at the dump now?" And I was like, you know what? It's stupid, but it made me think of like Anchorman, or like, where'd you get that at the toilet store? kind of like one of those jokes where it's just like it's so dumb that I kind of thought it was funny.
Sure. Yeah.
And then I was like, I wonder if that's like an ad lib. Like I'm assuming that any like funny part of this movie is probably the voice actor trying to salvage something and being like, maybe it'd be funny if this character says that, and like it's something, because I think everything else is just like pretty terrible. All of like Smithy's jokes.
Yeah,
like,
he was probably the worst one for me. I didn't like. I think it was. I don't know. I didn't see her. I just looked on the cast list on Letterboxd, but the glasses girl, her little sister,
who wanted the pony?
Yeah, that's either E.G. Daily or Tara Strong. I get them confused.
Were they in that? I didn't see them on IMDb.
It sure sounded a lot like one of them.
I would say it sounded more like E.G. Daily, because like E.G. Daily is the voice of
Tommy Pickles.
Was it Peg?
Peg?
Because that's Sherry Weston.
I don't know. That name doesn't sound familiar, but
yeah, she's one of those people who has like a million credits, and she's in.
I mean, I could be wrong about it.
I want a pony for Christmas. Santa can just put it in the backyard and tie it to the apple tree.
But anyways, I thought her voice was like particularly annoying. The one that sounded like one of the Rugrats or whatever.
Because she's also doing like the baby talk thing.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah,
and it like it almost like highlights like more how, you know, in the shows that they're like known for where they do these voices, it's like, you know, it just goes to show how good character design and writing helps, because it's like, oh, they work for those characters. Like I found some of these voices where they were kind of just doing other voices that you know them for were just like so much more annoying than in like the other stuff that they're in, just because of like what this was as a whole.
Yeah, because like I'm sure, because like you said that the director said he wanted this to be like a revolution in like animation.
What?
I'm sorry. I'm looking at it on on IMDb, and I'm scrolling down, and there's the parents guide on IMDb, and someone rated it sex and nudity severe, violence and gore severe. Frightening and intense scenes. A woman talks in gibberish for unknown reasons. It can creep people.
Okay, so it's actually
I love that people like trolls have gone on the IMDb page and rated this like basically as if it was like an NC-17 movie.
That is pretty good. Yeah, this is profanity, one use of stupid, severe.
Severe.
That's funny.
But yeah, the first little tidbit on IMDb trivia says that when Mark Hamill was asked by a Twitter follower if he had any recollection of making this movie, Hamill's reply was, "I've done so many VOs over the years, there are projects I have no memory of. This is one of those projects." I would love to see a cast and crew commentary track.
Yeah, that'd be
like
awesome.
Bring everyone back to watch this and be like, do you remember any of this shit?
For the Criterion pressing.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, you were talking about like the voice actors. I feel like, because at the end of this movie, like there's extensive credits, and then it's just like soundtrack CD available. Like, I think that they were like, holy shit, we got Ariel and we got Belle, and like they sing, which I feel like could not have been cheap. Because like you get a voice actor. I mean, this is like what 2002. You couldn't really like technology wasn't really there where like you and I could go out and buy microphones and like soundproofing shit, and we could like remotely record our lines and then send them over. So it's like they probably went to a studio to do this. But like, I'm trying to remember what my original point was about the singing. Just like they probably had a. That's what I was trying to say. That it wasn't just a situation where like they go to the studio, knock out all of their lines in a day, call it good. They like sang, like which is like
the one that Belle does is like it's like a full like 3-minute song, something like that. Yeah.
Because like when the first song started, I was like, "Oh, good, this is a musical too." Like I didn't know that.
I thought it was gonna be all rapping. I figured there was gonna be some rapping in it, and you do start with some of Ricky's sick rhymes, which that according to something, I think maybe they mentioned that video or whatever, that speaking of like the actor's input or ad-libbing or whatever, apparently the actor for Ricky, who's the Black Power Ranger, he like wrote all of his raps or whatever. And I feel like that was probably just sticking with the filmmakers not being culturally sound. They were just like, oh, we're just gonna leave that to you. I think you know a lot more about that than us.
Yeah, you rap, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, come on. Like you know how to do this, right?
Yeah.
Ricky was hardly in this movie, and I feel like you're supposed to like he's supposed to be the main character. I feel like he's hardly in this movie.
Yeah, kind of. It's like I think he's like the centerpiece, because when it gets back to the end, he comes back and it's like him and his like grandma's comes in and stuff, and so I think it is like he's supposed to be the centerpiece, but I think it's also trying to be it's gunning for, like I said, like a Christmas classic. So it's also kind of like I was thinking kind of like Peanuts, where it's like Charlie Brown's like the central character, but you can focus on like Linus or Schrader or something like that.
There's
for a
like
while.
Memorable tertiary characters that are like, like he's gonna be as iconic as Charlie Brown.
yeah. Ricky. What the other thing I was gonna say about him? Was it Ricky or I think maybe I have a note for it. Oh. Yeah. Speaking of the racist stuff, there's the part where like Ricky's like juggling the ornaments and then he like throws them up on the tree, which is clearly like it's like a PNG image of a tree that was just like blown up, like a 2D image. It like kind of like it looked worse then, but kind of like the trees in like Super Mario 64.
Oh yeah.
And he's like putting the stuff up there, and then it like shakes and falls, and he like falls on the ground, and then like the ornaments like break on his face. Of course, like he doesn't react. It's not like he actually like bleeding or anything like that. And he's like on his back, and then one of the bully kids comes up, and he's like, oh yeah, you think you're so hot? He's like, you're still not one of us, shrimp. I was like, oh, I didn't. It doesn't sound like what that line was a setup for. Because he's like says something like you're not one of us, or you're different, like something exclusionary like that, and then there's like a brief pause, and then shrimp.
Yeah, that was like a later day decision that they're like like the one time that they're like this might actually sound kind of bad. But like someone's got to correct that.
We can't have him actually say the N-word here. We want this to go on the WB.
Oh man, you could make some fun edits of this movie.
When I do the clip, when I play the clip, I'm definitely going to do
beeps.
Yeah.
Oh no.
But don't get a swelled head. You're still not one of us.
I guess the pressure to you is just too much for me to resist. I can so you guys.
Don't just stand there. Help me that bear.
The other thing I saw on the IMDb trivia, though, speaking of airing on WB, I guess it aired once on like NBC or ABC. I think the WB was listed on there, but I think that's it. I think it's only aired one time, which like I wonder like when they aired it, or like Like, was there any promotion leading up to it? Like, this Friday on NBC, like, Rapsittie Street Kids Believe in
I don't
Santa,
know.
you know, like normal like bumpers for it on TV, and then
Or it
like,
just played once and then was gone. Like one of the the
Adult Swim
Adult
show.
Swim things are like it's like a public access special that accidentally
yes.
made it onto like national TV. That's kind of the vibe that you get from it.
Yeah, the public access special that somehow managed to pull like all of these.
Yeah.
Which like I feel like there's like a history to this movie that like needs to be told, like how literally any of them came on board for this. Like what type of connections does this director have to be able to like pull those names?
Yeah.
Because that's crazy.
They reference I'm gonna just go back to that video because I literally like I watched this and then that like auto played after, so that was like my only kind of post watch like research I guess that I happened to consume. But anyways, they mentioned there's a Polygon article that they said is like a pretty good like kind of dive into the production history for it. So
okay,
I'll probably like check that out sometime.
yeah, that does sound interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like a public service thing. Like all of them like got DUIs in the same year, and they were like,
yeah,
all right, you all have to like do public service, community service, and this is what it is.
Yeah.
It's like, because like didn't Michael Jordan do one of those after he was like drunk driving? Is that like the origin of that like Michael Jordan thing where he's like, quit it, stop it, get some help, yeah.
Maybe. I mean, I guess that would make sense. Yeah.
Also, what is Rapsittie? Spelled Rapsittie.
Well, it's Rapsittie.
Yeah.
Rapsody. Rapsittie.
Yeah. But so
Because
then
I think because it's like just a pun because it's a musical, I guess.
Oh.
That's what I
Because I
figured.
was like Rapsittie, like Rapcity.
Because the one kid raps, I guess.
I thought that would have been like a better play on words than a made up word like Rapsittie.
Yeah.
Because it sounds Rapsittie.
Yeah. Rapsittie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was gonna be more. That set it up for like I said, I thought the whole thing was gonna be rap or like hip hop.
Yeah.
Whereas like if it was spelled like the actual word Rhapsody, then it would have been like, oh, that makes more sense for like a musical.
Yeah.
I guess.
But the movie did neither of those.
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. And we'll say, I mean, I guess Ricky's stuff aside, because it was just weird. His like, it wasn't just that like he would rap and then they would be playing music and stuff. It's just like that's literally how he talks. Like because he's like black, he's cursed.
Also like a Banjo
speak
Kazooie
in
character.
couplets. Yeah.
Gruntilda only speaks in rhymes.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So I was like, I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a good point. But I was thinking, I was like, okay, the music part of the songs is like not great, but the lyrics, like Nicole's song, like "Look at Me," it was like that was like the refrain was "Look at me," but then it was like about how she believes in Santa or whatever. That was the most confusing part because she's like the first like 10-15 minutes she is like ultra bitch and she's like, I don't give a shit, you're dumb as hell for believing in Santa Claus, fuck your bear, fuck you, I'm out of here,
I'm going to the mall.
Oh, you're my best friend's glasses girl, get the fuck out of here. Like,
glasses girl.
But then she goes home and she sings to herself, just
Yeah.
impromptu, and then she has a complete heel turn and she's like, oh, I'm sorry, Ricky, I believe in Santa. But anyways, it's like, the lyrics to these, like, that's kind of like how just normal musicals are. It's just very basic, just like I'm talking about what's going on and what I'm feeling very directly and with no nuance or metaphor or anything. So, at least lyrically wise, it's on par with Wicked.
They're basically the same thing.
Basically the same thing. I mean, I've stepped into some scenes of Wicked and
I've heard enough of that music to last a lifetime.
Yeah.
When I was in marching band, the 2005, my freshman year.
The play Wicked came out the year after this I mean, coincidence?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Where's my 3-hour-long like H bomber guy
Yeah.
YouTube essay?
Oh, I thought you were gonna say 3-hour-long part 1 to Rapsittie Street Kids the movie.
yeah. But yeah, no, like I every concert band season we
Sure.
did like No One Mourns the Wicked or Defying Gravity. Like they would find a way to shoehorn it in. Like when we went to New York City for my senior trip, I saw Wicked on Broadway.
Oh.
So like
okay.
I've had enough of that.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't think it was the original cast. I don't think it was Kristen Chenoweth or Idina Menzel, but Adele Manzim.
Yeah.
It was fine. It's kind of like how I feel about Hamilton. Like I saw it once and it was fine, and I'm like, I don't need to listen to this anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to seeing like a Broadway play on Broadway. I'm sure it'd be cool. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure that was like a cool experience. I have a particular disdain for Wicked, just as a whole, because I think it's just dumb that it even exists.
I didn't know it was a part 1.
Yeah.
When I saw that and then I saw the runtime, I was like enraged.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, there's the
Because
musical
the
itself.
play is like 3 hours,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
There's no reason for it to be like a 4-hour-long
Yeah, I wonder
total thing.
How
Like,
do you stretch it? Because you got to assume the next one is at least 2 hours, if not just as
Yeah.
long as this one. So how do you double the length? Unless it's like, because the play is based on a book.
Yeah.
The only thing I could think is like maybe the play cut out some stuff from the book, and maybe
Probably.
the movie is just including everything or something like that. So maybe there's gonna be some stuff from the book that wasn't in the play originally.
They should do a Return to Oz and make part 2 dark and weird.
Yeah, it'd be cool. It would be cool to see like that, or like even more of the Oz books be made into movies, because they're just also like unique. Pretty cool.
I didn't realize that there were more.
Yeah, there's a few. It's a series.
Interesting.
I don't even know if we had all of them, but we had like 5 or 6.
Damn, I didn't realize.
Yeah. We got like a little like box set.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What else we got for Rapsittie Street Kids though? Do we think it's a dud? Well, I guess that's like our rating scale.
That's our I do want to move into that.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
I really have no. I feel like this could be a thing where we're gonna look at the time. It's like we were talking for like 20 minutes, but
Oh,
this is not even like it's half the
It's
length.
42 minutes long.
So they're like literally there's not a lot to talk about because there's not a lot of runtime.
correct.
So which is nice.
It still felt long watching.
Yeah, that's why. Okay, so we're just gonna roll into.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, because I wanted to kind of lead into my rating to where I was like thinking, there was stuff that I was laughing at, like the grandma. I love I can't say the ending. The shut that door.
Yeah, that was
so
weird.
Fucking
That
weird.
it's like it cut through all of the other audio
Yeah.
like directly at you.
Yeah, and then a big like they do. It end like the credits end, and then it's like the Rapsittie Street Kids will return in the Easter Bunny.
Yeah.
No, they won't. But anyways, I was like, yeah. So there was like funny. There was like laughs and then not. But I settled on a dud because I was like, if this was the actual length of a movie, this would be torture.
Yes.
This would like the only reason that this is like I feel like at 42 minutes it was testing my patience.
Yeah.
So that even though there was some like funny things to laugh at, if it was even like an 80-minute or 70-minute, I'd be like, oh. I'd be really fucking struggling. It really felt like akin to one of the ones that we'd watch like on stream, like that level
Yes.
of ones.
Oh yeah.
But the only difference is this one was on fucking national television.
True.
So yeah, dud.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. the grandma stuff was the funniest stuff because it was just totally bizarre and strange. And like overall, the animation style and that uncanny valleyness and the T-posing and like all those little like animation hiccups and like, you know, basically trying to cover up a lack of animation by moving a PNG around on the thing. Like that stuff was funny in that Spud way, but there wasn't enough of it to really like to justify calling it a Spud. Like this is one I would not put on with like other people to be like, dude, this movie is so funny because it's so bad. It had its moments, but yeah, like you said, if it was like any longer, I would have been like, I didn't finish this. I didn't finish watching this.
Yeah. Def.
You know, hopefully, you know, I'm gonna hold out for a Easter special coming out.
Well,
22 years later. 23.
I don't know if you know, but Colin Slater's no longer with us. So.
Oh. Is he? Oh, he's dead.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah. A few years ago, I think it was 2019. So. Maybe, and this feels like a one-man show, you know, like.
Although I will say there wasn't one of the IMDb trivia bits said that the snowman at the end winks. During the end credits, when the name of the director is shown, a snowman on the bottom left side of the screen winks. The animators added this in because supposedly he did nothing during the movie's production.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So apparently the snowman
awesome.
at the end of the movie winks, and that's supposed to be a subtle nod. So like, yeah, this guy directed it. Wink, wink.
Okay, that'd be pretty funny.
If it's just a big like send up to the yeah. Damn.
Well, okay. All right. So there's still hope.
Yeah,
I believe. Yeah. So Hot Frosty.
I liked it more than I thought I was going to.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good.
I feel like I saw people online talking about it, like, oh my God, this looks like it's going to be like a horny Hallmark movie. Because I think the only like marketing materials for that movie were just like the hunky, like naked snowman. And then like you see him naked with like the scarf covering his penis. So I think you think it's going to be like a sex comedy more than anything else. It's really not.
Yeah, no, it's pretty innocent, pretty tame or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it was cute. I did enjoy it. Which is it is interesting. Like it's like harder to analyze these movies like than I don't know, something more fancy. Because there's movies like this that like it's cute, it's charming. You know, the guy who played the character, he's just a himbo, but he's very like likable, you know. But then there's one like when I watched, I think last year, A California Christmas, which is like the same kind of energy of just like dumb Hallmark-y Christmas romance movie, and it was garbage. Like I hated it. It's like everything bad about these ones. And I'm like what makes this one so much better? Or no, well, I say that I can't really analyze them, but I do, now that I'm thinking about that one again, I do remember in particular that one made no fucking sense because the two characters hated each other. They hated each other, and there was no real point where it was like the most cliche bullshit where they're just like they're giving each other shit because it's the classic like, oh, big city, one of them's like a big city person, the other one's in the country.
I'm coming home for Christmas to my podunk family in my dumbass hometown.
Well, it's more like he works at some like business, and they're trying to buy out this girl's like family ranch to like open some new thing. But she doesn't want to sell because it's her family thing, of course. So he shows up there and like poses as like the new ranch hand, but he's a city guy and he doesn't really know what he's doing. And so she's like giving him shit for like being bad at his job, which he should supposedly know how to do or whatever.
Right.
And then it does the thing where like there's one part where she's like up on the ladder and he like steadies the ladder, and so he like grabs the ladder, and he like maybe like grabs her foot or something like that, and then and then they look at each other like, and then they still give each other shit, but then they're like falling in love, I guess. So that was one of the things, but other than that, it was just boring and awful.
Maybe
then this one's like, yeah,
there's
entertaining.
like a cynicism maybe to those kinds of movies, like
Maybe.
those Hallmark movies, where it's like they're so formulaic at this point that they're just throwing anything at the wall. Maybe I don't know, but this one did not feel like cynical or mean spirited at all, and I think maybe there's more of a trend these days, capital T, capital D these days, for like stuff to be more ironic and cynical. I think maybe there's like, I don't know if it's like the Marvelification of like that sort of like the Joss Whedon, like, so that's a thing. Like maybe more movies, because I feel like Hallmark movies in particular maybe ape certain trends from other big movies to be like, oh yeah, see, this movie's funny too, because it's kind of hitting the same beats of that like cynical, sarcastic style.
Yeah.
And Hot Frosty didn't seem to have really any of that. The only mean-spiritedness that was there was maybe Craig Robinson's character, but even then, he plays it 100% straight. Like, there's really no ironic nature to him at all in that role.
Yeah, that was another thing. I had no idea that. I assumed that Lacey Chabert was like the only named actor in this movie. I wasn't expecting Craig Robinson or Joe Trugliotta to show up. So it was a nice surprise, I guess, because those guys can be funny.
I was surprised by the doctor, Dottie.
Oh, from Eastbound and Down.
Yeah. I was like, because like we're watching that show right now, and I was like, holy shit, it's April.
Yeah.
And it's like one of those things where it's like you hear her normal voice, like she doesn't sound like April, and I'm like, that's not like, you can hear, it's like, I know you don't like watch The Sopranos, but it's like listening to James Gandolfini talk.
Oh, and
in like
anything
his
else
versus like his like Christopher, like that sort of like voice, and then you hear James Gandolfini talk, and he's like, yeah, so I was doing this the other day, and you're like, that's not your voice. What are you doing?
Yeah.
But I was very pleasantly surprised to see April from Eastbound and Down in a much more modest role.
Yeah. Right.
Although if Danny McBride did show up in this movie, I think that would have elevated it. Like, there needs to be like a Hallmark movie like that where instead of like some, I don't know. Yeah, because it's like they're always like sort of affable. Like, I don't know. I think throwing like a Danny McBride style character into like one of those Hallmark movies would like just put a wrench in it, and it'd be interesting to see. Because like with his movies and shows, there's like an otherworldliness to them where like Danny McBride talks like no one would, because no one in real life would like put up with a character like that.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know, just the idea of him being in one of these movies would be amazing.
But yeah, I think honestly the like cringiest stuff was like, there was like references. I don't know. There was one that was like not that bad, and then there was one that was like I didn't like, where she says, maybe somebody's like, well, I think he's a snowman. I think he's really a snowman, and then she says, yeah, and I'm the princess of Belgravia or something like that. And Kalia was like, oh, I think that's the country from A Christmas Prince.
Is that the thing that she's in?
No, that's I thought maybe that was one of a big like Netflix Christmas movie a few years back.
Oh,
they made a couple sequels.
There are references to like other Netflix Christmas movies in this.
Yeah, that's kind of what I mean. Like those ones, like that one was one that was like okay, or like there's one where not a reference to another Christmas movie. Well, I guess it was, but there was like a one that Lindsay Lohan was in, and then she's like, oh, that looks like a girl that I used to go to school with. So, that was the worst one. I didn't like that.
Was Jennifer Coolidge in Mean Girls? Was she one of the characters' moms, or am I thinking of a different movie?
Maybe maybe we're thinking of American Pie.
It's that movie with Jennifer Coolidge where she's just like, he makes me want to have a hot dog real bad. Like that's kind of like her famous line.
Yeah, that's Legally Blonde, isn't it?
Is that Legally Blonde?
That's what I want to say.
Damn. Okay. Maybe. Yeah. Maybe. Because I'm trying to. I
But
thought.
and I know she's in American Pie, too.
Is it Amy Poehler who's like the cool mom?
Yeah,
That's who I'm thinking.
She's
of.
Regina George's mom.
That's right. That's like a very like Jennifer Coolidge coded character.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was
Like
thinking
the wine
when
mom,
you said that. Yeah,
you know, who's like, I'm the cool mom. You guys can drink here.
Yeah, she's like, I'm the cool mom. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, that because you were saying that because there was another because there was like a clip of her or something. Yeah, so they're like making like a cinematic universe or whatever. I guess.
Yeah, I didn't catch the first thing, but we saw the Lindsay Lohan thing. And we were like, okay, that's kind of clever because I forgot she was in Mean Girls. I've only seen Mean Girls once.
Okay.
Chloe's seen it more than I have, so she's like, oh yeah, she went to go to school with her. Like that's the Mean Girls thing. I was like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say like I said that it's like a cinematic universe, but if some of those are like movies within them, it's more like the like Quentin Tarantino, how it's like
like
it's
the red apple cigarettes or something like that.
Well, because it's like how his tie together is that like Kill Bill is a movie within like the universe. So like Reservoir Dogs is like the real world, and then Kill Bill is a movie that characters in Reservoir Dogs would go see or something like that. Or like Death Proof would be one of those. But then like Inglourious Bastards is like in the real world. And I guess like the theory, I don't know if he said this or if this is just like fans like trying to expand on it, that like the reason that there's like more of a people are more like violent in his reality or whatever is that like we won World War II by like turning Hitler into jelly with like guns, so it made like guns more of like a commonly like used thing. I mean, more common
they
than
won
it is
the
now,
war. Everybody should be strapped.
Yeah. Not that we aren't in our real reality, but
true.
Yeah. Yeah, another one in this vein that I also enjoyed kind of to like a similar level. So if you're looking for another one like this was it's like A Night or The Night with a K before Christmas.
Okay.
And that's like it's a very similar sort of thing where it's a guy fish out of water thing. He's kind of dumb. What's this modern, what is how does the world work sort of
What's
thing?
this?
Yeah. But he's like a medieval knight that gets pulled into like the modern day Christmas thing and then falls in love. So it's a similar-ish premise, but I mean, I guess it's not very many of these kinds of movies venture too far from that premise of just like one of the characters is not in their normal environs and then they fall in love with somebody and
there's like it's essentially a cookie cutter format and then there's like a few like derivatives that you can make to be like, oh, okay, this is how this one differentiates itself from all the other ones that are exactly the same. I don't remember if I talked about it last year or maybe 2 years ago. Jesus, I can't remember. Did I bring up Holly and the Hot Chocolate? Have I talked about that one?
I don't know.
It was a QVC streaming original.
Interesting.
But it was made by John McKeever, who
was the guy that I think I know what you're talking about.
He works with Shane.
Yeah.
So like Tires on Netflix and like all like the Gillian Keeves specials. So he got to direct a movie on QVC called Holly and the Hot Chocolate.
He just directed it?
He directed it. I think he's in it briefly. And there's like a few like Matt and Shane's secret podcast mainstays that are in it. Steve Gerben, who's like, he's one of the dudes in Tires. I don't know if you've seen any promo material for that. But he plays like the very eccentric kind of weird mayor of this town. And then there's like another guy that's in a couple of the Gillian Keefe sketches. But it's one of those things where it basically follows a very similar format. This one, it's like, it's a guy and his daughter, and his wife dies of something, probably cancer or something. Like, that's always,
It's usually what it is.
If it's not a fish out of water story, if it's not two people from different worlds meeting, it's someone who's lost someone, and they're always like, the holidays are always getting me down, kind of thing. Because that's in Hot Frosty. Her husband dies of cancer, and then like she's not really like, I expected her to be more bah humbuggy, but she really wasn't.
No.
She didn't have any decorations up, probably because like
Right.
the holidays are like tough that time of year for her. But she wasn't like she wasn't like angry or cynical or like, I hate Christmas because it reminds me of my dead husband. And I think that was like a good choice to make. I don't know. But similar theme in Holly and the Hot Chocolate, where it's a guy and his daughter and his wife dies, and like I think it's like another woman, she like works in the big city, and I think she's got like a shitty boyfriend who's played by Tommy Pope, who's, I don't know if he's one of those like Philly podcast guys, but he's like super Italian.
Okay.
And he like leans into like being like the just like red-faced yelling like Guido type character, which is pretty great. But it's like, it follows those kind of Hallmarky beats, but it's got that like that Shane style humor every once in a while, where you're like, that's like genuinely funny, and it's unexpected that it's like not just some like kind of hacky cheap joke to make like your mom laugh, because that's just like watching these movies.
Right.
So that's another rec, I guess. Holly and the Hot Chocolate. It's on QVC. I think it's free. Like, I don't. It's like QVC. Yeah, I think if you download the QVC app, which is still on my Apple TV, and I've used it once, and it's for that movie. But it's free, so you can watch it there. So that's another one.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know of any other ones. Those are like, Night Before Christmas is the only other one that I remember watching that I like, was like, that was kind of cute. That was all right.
We watched The Family Stone again, and that pissed me off.
Oh yeah.
I think I talked about it last year.
Okay.
Have you seen that movie?
Oh, I think I do remember you bringing it up though. Yeah. It's got a ton of people in it.
Yeah, Rachel McAdams is in it. Luke Wilson, Craig T. Nelson, Diane Keaton is in it. Dermot Mulroney. What's the lady's name from Homeland? Claire Danes. She's in it. But it's just like the most. If you like hate like libs, the entire family in that movie is like insufferable libs. But it's like, the idea is that it's I almost want to call her Carrie Bradshaw, but that's not. It's Sarah Jessica Parker.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
She basically plays like this very uptight New York City lady.
Okay.
And she comes to meet Dermot Mulroney's whole family. And she's very like professional and businesslike and uptight. And she's not like explicitly conservative, but I think she just kind of naturally has conservative leanings. And like the family that she goes to visit, like literally Rachel McAdams pulls up in like a shitty beat up car, and then she gets out of the car and she has like an NPR tote bag. Like and I'm like, this is so on the nose. Like, I'm sure when it came out, it was like probably not a huge deal, but as soon as I saw the NPR tote bag,
maybe that was a little more cutting edge. I don't know.
Yeah. But it's like they immediately hate her. They immediately hate Sarah Jessica Parker.
Okay.
Because they're like cool hip libs, and she's like a stuck up businesswoman from like the big city. And it's like, I think if the family had like given her a chance and she was still kind of uptight and like cold to them, then their like kind of dislike would have been warranted. But it was like they saw red immediately and hated her, and it made my inner contrarian be like, oh, you know what? Well, I'm on Sarah Jessica Parker's side. And it's like not hard to be on her side for a little bit, and then she kind of does some shit at the dinner table where you're like, I don't know about that one, because one of the like, I mean, okay, so Rachel McAdams.
Does it get like political or whatever?
It does.
Okay.
But it's like, like the super lib family where the mom is just like talking to Sarah Jessica Parker is like, oh yeah, Ben, she popped Rachel's cherry, like talking about her daughter.
Okay.
And I think it's supposed to be like, we're open in this family. Like we talk crass because it's like we're so open and hip. And like Sarah Jessica Parker is clearly like not comfortable with like that type of language. There's like a scene at the dinner where I'm gonna keep describing this movie and it's gonna be like so lib on the nose. One of the sons is deaf and gay and is dating a black man.
Okay.
So it's just like ding, ding, ding. But there's like, they're talking about like, if they're going to adopt a kid. And at one point, Sarah Jessica Parker is just like, they're talking about the mom, Diane Keaton, and they're like, oh, mom wishes all of us was gay. Like she's like obsessed with having a gay child because they're cool libs. And then at one point, Sarah Jessica Parker's like, well, you didn't really wish that he would be gay, did you? And like everyone gets silent. And then I think the point that Sarah Jessica Parker is trying to make was like, it's like, oh yeah, you know, you want your kid to be normal, but I think in the idea of like, you don't want your kid to be picked on. You don't want your kid to be bullied, like hate crimed or whatever. And it's just like part of you is just like, you almost like wish that they weren't, so like there wouldn't be that hurdle in their life because the world is like hostile and mean to people that are different. That's like a charitable reading of what she says, but what she actually says is like very clunky and inarticulate, and like the family like blows up at her and then she like leaves, and then it's a little bit harder to sympathize with Sarah Jessica Parker. She kind of puts her foot in her mouth. But then the craziest shit in the world happens where she ends up with Luke Wilson and Dermot Mulroney ends up with Sarah Jessica Parker's sister who comes into town because like she's freaking out. She's like, sis, I need you here because like this family hates me. And then out of nowhere, they basically like sister swap. And like the two brothers like swap siblings.
It's
and
nice
then,
how that stuff like always happens at perfect timing. But
it like plays it totally straight. And you're like, you've known this person. You've both known these people for like a day.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Right. Yeah.
But it's got like these emotional beats and it's got like these heartfelt moments and all that shit. But it's a very like sort of miserable experience, like for like the first half of it with the family because they're just so insufferable.
Wait, so is Luke Wilson like the cool conservative like rebel of the family?
He's not conservative, but he's like the least shitty to her.
Okay.
He's more of like the I'm the San Diego like pot smoking like hippie where he's just like, come on guys, why are we being so? Come on guys, I'm trying to do my Luke Wilson, Owen Wilson impression.
Yeah, he has less of a distinct voice,
but he's like the only one who's nice to her.
Okay.
And then yeah, of course they end up together.
Okay. Yeah, cool. So from Christmas to to this, it's episode 169. So why not continue the trend of any sort of like themed episode? I'm a fan of doing. So we're gonna go back to the sex well. I don't know. And do a movie from 1980 directed by Paul Schrader, American Gigolo. So yeah, that'll be it. I don't know much about it. So I've heard of it, but I don't know much about it.
Yeah.
And I am interested in Paul Schrader stuff.
Yeah. The soundtrack is done by Giorgio Moroder.
See if it's on here.
He's an electronic musician. Do you listen to Daft Punk?
Yeah.
You know that song on Random Access Memories where it's like, when I was a young boy, I used to go to the discotheque, and yeah. That's him.
Oh, okay, interesting.
He's like this like godfather of electronic synthesizer music, but I guess he did the score for American Gigolo. So I have high hopes for the soundtrack.
Sweet, yeah.
A lot of a combination of things that on paper I should like.
Yeah.
I like Richard Gere.
Yeah. This is funny too because we'll be like recording this like right before Christmas too, so we're still gonna be in that season and be talking about this. So we'll probably like post chat. We'll still be like, yeah, so we watched the Santa Claus again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. So watch American Gigolo before the next episode if you don't want to be spoiled. These episodes come out on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. EST on YouTube in video form, as well as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more in audio form. We also have social pages on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And with all that said, I'm just a guy. I'm not gonna lie. Hey, what's this show called? No, it's not. Yeah, that's all I could do. So I'm no Ricky. I'm TJ.
You don't have fat bars like Ricky does.
With me as always.
As always.
I figured.
It's Christmas.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to do it.
No, I didn't want to. I was waiting for it. Yeah. All right. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Bye-bye.